Hey there, this is Andrea with A.D.S. here to bring you the very best in marketing and branding tips, as well as business tips for those of you who are entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, and personal branders. Welcome and thanks so much for being here. Today I have an awesome interview for you with my friend Harold Alexander, and I cannot wait for you to see this. We are on a kick right now all about vision, and it's because I've run into too many people who really don't consider their vision. They think they have a vision, they actually don't, and they don't think about it very often, and they just get stuck in the the nitty-gritty weeds of the day. And I want people to pause, reflect, refocus, rise above all that everyday minutia and get back to the vision that matters for your life and for your business. So my friend Harold is building an app. It's taken him 4 years now, but it's been probably over 20 years in the making in terms of an idea. And in the past 4 years, he's been working in earnest to make this happen. So I want you to hear his story. I also want you to check out his app. Let us know what you think about it. But let me introduce Harold real fast, and then we'll get right into that interview. CEO and founder of Underground.App, Harold Alexander has a B.S. in electronic engineering and has run Alexander Software Inc. for over 16 years. At Alexander Software Inc., he has worked with numerous medical facilities to set up on-premise and off-site networks. This includes Microsoft and VMware environments. With Underground.App, Harold is creating the first social media platform that connects fans with undiscovered artists of their liking. This includes filmmakers, comedians, spoken word, and musicians. You can check it all out at Underground.App. And without further ado, let's say hi to Harold. Good. Well, hello, Harold.
Hey, Andrea, how are you?
Good, good. So glad to have you as always. And introducing you to my audience for the first time, I'm so glad they have a chance to meet you and hear your story. I know it's amazing. I have not heard the story yet, so we're all going to hear it together.
Okay.
I got you for at least a good 30 minutes, so I'm going to start my little timer.
I love the hourglass. I think it's great. Please bring out the feather. Do you have the feather pen? You do? Okay, because I want to see that. I've always said if I did an interview with Andrea, she had to bring out the feather pen. And there we go.
I have so many. Look,
I love it. Anyone is good. I don't think it would be appropriate if you did not have that feather pen. So I feel like this is legit now.
We'll use the peacock today. Yeah, perfect. You're official. You're official on A.D.S.
Okay.
Well, good. I'm just really excited to have you. Because I know all about your new app, and ever since I've met you, you've been talking about this new app called Underground, and we're gonna let you explain it and all that good stuff. You are in launch season right now for that app, and it has been a long time coming. Because again, how long have I known you? At least 3 years.
At least 3, yes.
At least 3 years. And this brother has been working diligently on this app in addition to running his business. So he runs his own business, and this is like a side baby in addition to that. I mean, I can't even imagine because, well, I can.
You do it all, Andrea, so I know you can imagine.
I have the business, and then I guess my side baby is my book, which often gets neglected though. It's like easily takes the back burner to everything else.
Exactly.
Sadly, don't tell my book fans that, but but yes, let's talk about you and this vision for this app. And I know it started way before I met you. So when did you first think I should start this app? I know you didn't know it was necessarily going to be called Underground yet, but tell me how that came about for you.
Okay, so this is a really interesting story. I've shared this a few times with some people, but this actually came up in 1999, right? When I got the idea. I was in Buckhead, and I don't know if you remember, but Buckhead used to be like a place where all the clubs are, and they used to hang out years and years ago. Now it's ritzy. But
back in picnic days, freaking.
Huh? Yeah,
going on there.
Exactly. I'm going. Yeah, but back then, so me and a few of my friends, we were in Buckhead. We were hanging out. It was like a summer night. It was really nice. People in the streets, walking around, going from club to club. And then one of my good friends came up to me and he said, "Hey man, did you hear the news?" I said, "No, what news?" He said, "T.I. just got signed." And I said, "Who's T.I.?" And he said, oh, he's this underground rapper in Atlanta. And I said, I've never heard of him. And he said, well, you're not plugged into the underground. And I said, you know what? You're right. And it was after that, I felt so out of place, right? I felt like, because it was a group of us. So he was talking to the other guy, my other friend, about T.I. and how he got signed and everything. And I just was like, I don't know who he is. I don't know. And of course, later on, he became big and everybody heard of him. But my friend had followed him while he was just emerging in the underground scenes in Atlanta. And so at that point, I said, you know what? I feel so awkward right now. I'm gonna make a software that can collect all underground artists, all emerging artists, put them in one spot, and make it easy for people to find. And of course, at that time, it wasn't called Underground. This was years before Facebook came out, before Twitter. This was, years before that happened. So social media wasn't even a term back then. But I knew I wanted to build something, and I didn't know what. I didn't know what it was going to look like. I didn't have any idea. And so I sat on it. And periodically, I would just tell people, like, this was in 1999, like fast forward to 2005, I'd be sitting with some friends and I'd say, we'd be chatting about whatever. And I'd say, you know what, I have this idea of collecting all emerging artists and putting them in one spot. And everybody would do the exact same thing. They would tell me, oh my God, you gotta build that. It would like just like a reaction. And I would never do anything. And then fast forward another 3 or 4 years, and they would say, oh my God, you gotta build it. And then, so I said, you know what? I'm a follower of Christ. I'm a Christian, and I'm a believe that God gives you visions. And I feel like if you get a vision and God gives you a vision, then you are responsible to executing that vision. And I could tell it was a God-given vision because it never would go away. Right. And there was a period of time where I was like, nah, I'm doing this other stuff. I'm too busy. I don't feel like writing another app. I had written software applications before. And I was like, that's going to be a challenge. And, whoever going to want an app, that does that. And so I set it to the side, and a year or two later, it would pop up again. And then I said, you know what? God wants me to build this thing. So I started building. I didn't write my first line of code until 2017. So that's a good 18 years later after the idea came. So
Yeah.
that's the story.
Even back then, yeah, I remember where we were, and I can't say, I mean, I was graduating high school, and I don't think the internet was a huge, big part of our lives yet. And definitely apps were not a common word that we used.
No, the first smartphone really, I mean, BlackBerry came out a few years after that. They were really big, but the phones that were out there mainly did calls and texting. We were just emerging past pagers, and we were in the Palm Pilot type area,
Yeah.
at that time. So yeah,
those digital, like 43770 is hello,
yeah, exactly.
You're like,
exactly.
Ooh, look, it spells a word.
I do remember that. I remember that very well. So yeah, so we were still that transition. After I look back and I just see how much things have changed over those years. And it was really intense.
Very awesome. So that's how this all started. And then now you are, since 2017, on your launch mode. Let me ask you, how important was that vision for you? Because it came to you a couple times, almost like you were being nagged about it, like, or constantly nudged about it. And how important is vision for a project like this, would you say?
It's crucial. I think the vision is more important than the actual product itself. Because when you have a vision, you see it, and you're the only one that really see it, right? When you get that vision, it's in your eyes. And sometimes people get frustrated when you try to explain the vision and other people don't get it. The vision is for you, right? And that's your vision. And that's the thing that it's what's make it so unique, right? If everybody got the vision, it wouldn't make it special. The special thing is that you got it, you see it, it's in your eyes, it's in your head, And that is up to you to how you're going to execute it. And then that transitions to what a great leader is. So as you continue on the path of executing this vision, it's gonna make alterations. It's gonna change. You know, like this happened. Like Underground, the idea came up in 1999, but I didn't first write my code till 18 years later. But by that time, it had altered, changed. It had more, but the core remained the same, right? I mean, how I executed was a little different, but the core of it, and that's because I kept the vision intact, and the vision is what led me kind of the same road. So I think once you get that vision in place, people have vision boards. They get them in those, write them down, keep them in a good spot, and then don't be afraid if the vision starts to start to morph a little bit. If the core stays the same and it morphs, it adds, it changes a little bit on the outer rings of it, that's fine. Just kind of keep the core together, and then you'll be good. So I think it's paramount that the vision is been done and is kept in place.
I'm so glad you said that, because I'm a big believer in vision, and I really do think it's so critical. I do meet a lot of entrepreneurs and people in general, who have a dream, an idea for something. But a lot of times, if it's founded in, something like only money, it tends to not go anywhere, because as soon as something else comes along that's, a better money maker, they're all over that. And there's a difference between something done just for money and something that's done, because of a belief. And it sounds like to me, with this app that you're building, that you believe there should be a place where emerging artists are able to gather, as you said, and be supported, maybe not be taken advantage of, like maybe they are on other platforms. Mm-hmm. Talk about that belief, that you have with emerging artists for this Underground app.
So, you know what, and this goes back to, I feel like it's a God-given gift. One of the things that kept happening with the vision is that when I would say, okay, yeah, I'm not going to do it, literally I would be at an event. A friend of mine would ask me, hey, let's go to this hangout spot, right? And hang out. I'd be there, and there'll be an artist that would be performing, whether it's a singer or a comedian. And I would say, oh my God, they are so great. Why aren't they like on radio? Why don't I hear them? Why haven't I heard of this guy or this girl who's performing? Why this comedian is hilarious? Why isn't he or she on TV? And that happened time after time after time. And it got to the point to where I got frustrated because I was saying, oh my God, these people are working really, really hard. And I know, because I know a lot of artists, I know how many hours they spend in the studio. I know filmmakers, I know how much it takes to create a film. And I say they spend so much time, so many hours, so much money, and they're just not getting traction with their product. The vision kept being propped up by the fact that I kept running into so many artists that I thought were phenomenal, but nobody ever heard of. I'm gonna tell you a story. So about a year, right before the pandemic happened, I went to this film festival. It was in Atlanta. It was at the Ponce, that old theater at Ponce where it's like a one theater. They used to have like the Rocky Horror Picture Show. It's off of Ponce de Leon. It's called
near Ponce City Market?
It's really close to Ponce City Market. Yes.
Okay.
It's right up the street. It's a little theater. It's in Virginia Highlands. It's off of Ponce. It's not too far from where that Krispy Kreme burned down off of Ponce. But anyway, there's this theater that's there, and so they had a film festival there, and I went there to this film festival, and I met this guy, and he was from Texas, and he was a filmmaker, and so we started talking. And he said, I said, why'd you come all the way from Texas to Atlanta to the film festival? The film festival had almost nobody in there. Believe it or not, there were like literally 10 people at the film festival, including the filmmakers. But so he came and we started talking, and he said, yeah, I'm doing this film out in Houston or whatever. And the organizer of the festival wanted me to come. And I said, oh, so what's your film about? And he said, yeah, I created this idea so that it's called The Cure. And basically, it is a film about this doctor goes into the Amazon jungle and she finds a cure for cancer in the jungle, right? And the word gets back to corporate America, the drug companies, that this cure has been found. So the drug companies send people in the jungle to try to stop the drug from getting released because if, if the cancer gets cured, there's no drugs needed for it or anything. And so he showed me this trailer, blown away. I was like, yo, if I had $1 million, I would give you the money to invest in this film. That's how he did so much craft, so much time. I mean, the trailer was phenomenal. And yet the chances of that coming to life is so small. And when I saw that, I said, you know what? I buckled down. I literally went home right after I saw that and just started coding away. I started hammering away like, oh my God, I got to get this thing. I got to get this thing out. And that happens periodically. So that the vision of Underground came from, like I said, my God-given gift and that experience, plus my journey along the way helped prop up the vision, and interacting with emerging artists helped me realize that this is a vision that needs to be executed.
I love that. I think that's a wonderful sense of purpose you have with this app. And it sounds like it's just infused so much meaning for you. It sounds very fulfilling for you to work on. Mm-hmm. And now that you're here, I want to say at the end, but the exciting part of launch time, I think there's a lot of people who would benefit from knowing about this. So I'd love for you to share, just a quick highlight overview of how the app works, and also what success looks like for you with this app. What would make you happy in terms of how this app turns out and what it does for people?
To answer the first question, how the app works, and I'll give you like a good example, because when people tell me how it works, I kind of tell them this story. Let's say you're a fan of the movie Black Panther, right? So you would go to our site, or you as soon as you download the app. The Android app will be out hopefully in the next few weeks, but the site is ready. The website and the web app is ready. So you go to our site, you say you like, say you're a fan, and then you say you like film, you say you like action superhero type films. You would ask you a few more questions during the onboarding process. And then when you go into your feed, you'd only see posts from filmmakers who make movies like Black Panther within a 50-mile radius of you. The cool thing about Underground that makes it different is that our feed actually changes. So as if you're in Atlanta, you would see, all the posts from filmmakers with movies like Black Panther. But if you go down to, let's say, Savannah or Macon, your feed would totally change because it keeps that 50-mile radius. So it would only show you filmmakers, whatever city you're in, that make movies like that. So as we grow and get more filmmakers on, get more fans on, as you move around, you'll see more and more filmmakers, and you'll be able to interact with them a lot better and a lot easier in Underground. So that's how the core part of it works. We have features that kind of make it available and make it attractive to the value that comes from the artist. One of them is that we have a reaction button where you can hit like and love and all that stuff, but we got rid of the main button and we put a dope button in place. And so what the dope button does is that it gives the artist credit. So let's say, for example, Andrea Smith, she goes on, when you log on to Underground, we haven't turned this on yet, but we will. When you log on to Underground, you'll get an X amount of dope tokens. You're able to give one token to an artist that you like. Right?
I like those dope tokens. That's
so you'll be assigned a few, and then you would say, okay, I like this filmmaker. Here's my dope token, all right? And if you have let's say 3, once you give the 3, you're out. You have to earn more. But once that artist gets up to, let's say, 100 dope tokens, if it's a filmmaker, we're going to have in place where that filmmaker will be able to cash those tokens in and have their movie played at a couple of Regal cinemas in their area. So this way, now they get complete value out of being on a social media site, because now once you hit those numbers, you can say, okay, I'm gonna cash this in. I'm gonna have my movie premiere on one night at the local Regal, maybe 2 or 3 Regal. We'll have it to where your banner is outside of it. And then we'll have deals with other streaming sites where your movie will be on the streaming site, and you'll have different avenues of people can see your movie. So we're going to start working on those deals once we get our numbers up. But that's the value artists will be getting from being on Underground, from filmmakers, from musicians. It'll be very similar. You'll be able to get your song played on Spotify, on Pandora and all those other platforms once you get up to a certain number of dope credits. So that's the value. That is kind of how Underground is going to be enhancing and helping artists and growing and getting, and that's kind of basically how it's going to work.
Okay, well, it sounds awesome. And when I listened to your story and how long it's taking you to get here, especially when you started working in earnest in 2017. So that was 4 years ago now?
Roughly, yes.
So I wonder if you're familiar with, have you heard this story about Chinese bamboo from, oh gosh, who's the guy who said it? Les Brown?
No, I haven't heard that.
Okay, I'm going to tell you real fast.
Please, I would love to hear.
This so reminds me of this story. So Les Brown tells the story of, but you know Les Brown though, right?
I know Les Brown very well.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah. So I'm not going to tell it like he tells it, but So he tells a story of how Chinese bamboo is a interesting kind of a plant, and you have to water it consistently every day for 5 years, and you see no growth at all for 5 years, but you still have to faithfully, consistently water it that whole time. And then all of a sudden at that 5-year mark, you'll start to see some shoots, and it will start springing up in the air 90 feet in something ridiculous like 5 weeks.
Wow.
And so I know. And so he asks people, did it take 5 weeks for that bamboo to grow, or did it take 5 years? And of course, everyone's answer is it's 5 years, but what everyone sees is the 5 weeks. So the commentary Les has, which I love about this, and I want to know if this is anything you can identify with, but it sounds like your people are pretty supportive of what you did. But he talks about how he can just imagine how someone would look at that guy going out there every day, watering this patch of dirt with nothing coming up. And, people teasing them like, you've been at this for a long time. I don't see that happening, basically call them crazy. Like, you sure you're okay out here, watering this thing every day, ain't nothing coming up. And then how things seem to completely flip once people start seeing the fruits of that labor. Once it's starting to shoot up in the air and it's amazing, people start coming around and they're like, well, dang, man, this is awesome. This is amazing.
Right.
Like, I knew you could do it,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And they're asking you for a job and all that kind of stuff. So,
right.
And I know Underground isn't right at that 90 feet in the air yet, but you're starting to see sprigs come out of the ground. And so how do you relate to any part of that story with your process of, having to constantly water, constantly nurture your project in silence, in the dark, and all that kind of thing? Or how do you feel your experience was?
Oh, yeah. Oh, definitely. And I did, to answer your question, I did have people who said it wasn't a good idea throughout the process. I did have people saying, who cares about emerging artists? Like, once they get big, let me know, right? I don't really want to care if I don't care what Tyler Perry was doing before he was Tyler Perry, and as long as he's making stuff that I care about. But no, so I did get that. But yeah, I did watering it and just nurturing the product at the very beginning and just being diligent about it. It's super, super hard to build a social media site, and especially because I wrote 100% of the code, that makes it even more complicated. Like when I go to other sites and I hit like the love button or the like button or whatever it is, it took me a week to program that for Underground. So when I go to it and I look, I'm like, I wonder if the developers took them a week or how long. I'm thinking in the back end of all of that. But so the process is, constant, adding to it, making it, building on it, nurturing it. You see nothing, right? I mean, it wasn't launched. So But even now that I've launched, it's going to be a constant telling people about it, getting people involved, iterating, making it better, seeing how things go. Just to give you an example, if you ever pull up the charts for Facebook and see their growth from their first like 5 or 6 years, their thing was flat. It was literally like this. And then all of a sudden it just shot up, right? It was right.
Like 90 feet, man.
Yeah, exactly. It would stay like this. And then all of a sudden it just went up like that. And that's kind of how it is. You just can't give up. Michael Seibel of the Y Combinator, he's the guy who created Twitch. You ever heard of Twitch?
Yeah.
Okay, so Twitch is what used to be called Justin TV, and Michael Seibel he's one of the partners at Y Combinator. Y Combinator is one of the biggest combinators out there. Like Airbnb came out of there, Uber was in there, like all the big guys came out of Y Combinator in San Francisco. But Michael Seibel said something that was really profound. They asked him about, do you think founders are staying in too long with their ideas? He said that because a lot of people, when they get an idea, they're like, okay, it's not working, it's not getting traction, but they're still spending money to kind of get traction on it. And he asked Michael, do you think they're staying in too long? This is the interviewer. And Michael said, no, I don't think they're staying in long enough. He said, I think that, and this resonated with me so well. He said, I think founders give up too easy. I think they see it, and then they give it maybe a year, and then after no traction, even working really hard at it, they're like, oh my God, this is a bad idea. Nobody's ever going to use it, and I'm just going to give up. And that's the wrong approach, because if you start following track records of other people, you'll see that that's not always the case. What if companies like Facebook gave up? Tyler Perry, another great example. Tyler Perry, if you ever get a chance, you should listen to Tyler Perry's story. It is absolutely inspirational. He said that one of his first few plays, when he threw, there were like 10 people in the crowd. He rented like the Fox Theater. It wasn't the Fox. He rented like a huge theater that hold like hundreds and hundreds of people. And he did all this promotion. And when the day of the play, like I think he said like 20 people in there. And he said like he knew 15 of those. And so he said it kept going like that for years. And then right when he was about to give up, he was like, you know what, this is not working. He was really about to give up. He had this one more play, and then it took off. People were lined up around the block. He remember looking out the window, seeing there was a line around the block, and then that was the catalyst that kind of shot him up. So if it's a vision, going back to vision, if it's a vision for you, if you have that in you, you can always use the term pivot, iterate to make it fit. But I think, don't give up. Just kind of make it so that it will be something that still keeps the core, but at the same time is something that provides value to people. And then if you do that, you'll be good.
That's really good advice. Yeah, never give up. Classic and timely.
Exactly.
So awesome. Well, tell everyone how they can find your app and download it and share it with those who are emerging artists, the types of artists who can get on it and all that good stuff.
Okay. So you can go to Underground.App. We made it simple, Underground.App on your phone, on your computer. We'll have the Android app hopefully out, like I said, in a few weeks. By the end of this month, I'm working hard on getting that out. And yeah, share it with all filmmakers. So we right now have 4 categories. We have filmmakers. If you're a comedian, if you're a spoken word artist, or if you're a musician, you can go there. We're the only really platform that actually has a spoken word artist category on it. A lot of art don't even carry that. But spoken word is one of my favorite types of entertainment, so I had to include that. But go to Underground.App, create a profile, and give us feedback. We want feedback. We really relish that. We have a feedback button inside of the app. We have some articles. We have one in there now about how musicians who are not big are not benefiting from streaming services like the Spotify, like the Pandora, like those other ones. They're like still like over 90% of the streams are going to the top 1% of the artists, and the other 99% are not getting any kind of streams. So it's not benefiting them when it was supposed to. So we have a great article on that. That was in the Rolling Stone, by the way. It wasn't something from this was a big one. So you'll get articles about that. You'll be able to connect with other artists. So if you're a filmmaker, we connected one filmmaker who needed music for their film. And we connected the two, from a filmmaker to a musician. So she got music for her film to score her movie. So you'll be able to use Underground in a number of different ways. So again, it's Underground.App on the website and the web app.
Perfect. Awesome. And Android to come.
Android right? And iPhone to come, yes. So keep a lookout. Sign up for our newsletter and you'll be notified when it gets released.
Very awesome. Well, Harold, that's our time.
Okay. Thank you.
Awesome to chat with you and hear your story and learn all about the importance of vision and consistency and faith and all that good stuff with making sure your vision comes to reality. So I'm excited for you about your app release. Definitely going to be checking it out, excuse me, myself, and telling a bunch of people. And what was the goal? You were trying to get like 1,000 users.
I'm trying to get to 1,000 users by the end of the summer. We're getting roughly a couple of users and on a day, which is surprisingly, which is a huge blessing. But yeah, we're trying to get to 1,000 users by the end of the summer. So
very cool. 1,000 users. All right, people, go out there and download the app. Check it out, give some feedback. And thank you so much, Harold, for being on with us. Totally appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Andrea. I really appreciate you.
All right, I hope you enjoyed that interview. I certainly did. It's so refreshing to hear someone else talk about their vision and how that's come into play in their life and how that's really working out in real time with their own dreams. So again, if you've not checked out that app yet, go to Underground.App. Check out Harold's new app. It's awesome, amazing. Give him that feedback he's looking for, and let's make this happen. 1,000 downloads in the summer, all right? All right, so let's make this happen. Again, thanks so much for being here. I'm Andrea with the A.D.S agency, as always, here to bring you the very best in marketing and branding tips, as well as business tips for those of you who are entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, and personal branders. Come find us on social media at the A.D.S agency. That's THE-ADS, like ads, like advertising, agency. The A.D.S agency on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, here on YouTube, on podcasts. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, all those wonderful places. If you go to the podcast world, make sure you rate and review this podcast. Would love to do that. And if you're listening to this on YouTube, be sure to subscribe. The buttons are below. Subscribe, hit that notifications bell. You want to make sure you get notifications for all these videos, or otherwise I promise you, you will never see us again. I promise you, you got to hit the notifications bell. All right, people, and that is really it today. I hope to see you next time, and cheers.